Anambra Ministry of Lands introduces major reforms to enhance transparency, public trust. Positive reactions thrill soon-to-be commissioned Awka shopping mall. Defense headquarters reels out major breakthroughs across theaters. Ukrainian city hit by massive strike as peace talks in U.S. draw to conclusion. Security is here to stay in Anambra State. In the Anambra, remember, security is everyone's business. And for us to have a more secure and livable Anambra State, let us join forces with the government in securing our state. If you see something, say something. Report unscrupulous elements to the security operatives for better security of lives and property. Remember the emergency numbers 5111 and 0800-2200-008. Good morning and welcome to the news. My name is Nonye Ngokoye. Now, the Anambra State Ministry of Land says it has significantly improved the processing of land documents, including certificates of occupancy (CFO), following major reforms aimed at enhancing transparency and public trust. Commissioner for Lands, Professor Ofonze Amuchazi, who disclosed this in Awka, explained that the ministry inherited a severely compromised system which caused long delays, with some applications pending for up to 4 months or years before the present administration took over. Blessing Dennis captured the moment, and her report is here presented.
Professor Amuchazi stated that the ministry has since streamlined its procedures and deployed digital automation to accelerate service delivery. According to him, once documentation is complete and payments are properly made, CFO for private land now takes an average of 9 to 10 days to be processed, while for government allocated land, the process ranges from 2 to 6 weeks, depending on workflow and the governor's signing schedule. Professor Amuchazi explained most current delays on incomplete submissions from applicants, noting that the departments now take extra care to verify details due to past irregularities, and noted that their ultimate goal, as outlined in Mr. Governor's manifesto, is to issue CFO within 72 hours after full automation, assuring that the ministry is actively working to achieve the target.
The system is very badly bastardized, so sometimes it takes a bit of a time to also correct certain problems. And so you may submit a document, it doesn't come out as quickly as you expect it to come out, because the various departments involved have to be very sure that the right things have been done. And then because we didn't have an automated system, that's what we just built now, we're developing it. So it makes that work much, much faster than what we had before. We are determined to achieve that.
On revenue performance, the commissioner reported a steady rise since 2022, contributing to growth of improved efficiency and renewed public confidence in the land administration process. In Awka, Blessing Dennis, ABS News.
Residents of Awka capital city have expressed happiness that the soon-to-be commissioned Awka shopping mall will change the landscape of shopping experience in Awka and environs when the mall finally opens up for business. The once abandoned mall is a public-private partnership spearheaded by the Anambra State government, as the mall is about 90% completed and would begin operations soon. Kenechukwu Chukwudi tells us more.
Speaking to the ABS in Awka, a former labor union leader in the state, Chief Anthony Ugozo, said Anambra State has attained an enviable level of development and the shopping mall is a welcomed development, emphasizing that the shopping mall must have objective of serving the Anambra without any undue profiteering. Chief Ugozo went on to explain that the shopping mall will further help showcase the business ingenuity of Anambra State, commending the government for the initiative, as it will further add to the beauty and aesthetic of Awka, the capital of Anambra State.
Establishment of shopping mall will plunge Anambra State into the horizon, higher horizon of business and economic welfare of this country. So, Anambra has been in the business forum of this country and West Africa and Africa.
On his part, a civil servant also based in Awka, Mr. Victor Okpala, said the coming on stream of the shopping mall will help Awka residents and beyond buy goods at subsidized rate, as most of the shopping malls in Awka are privately owned, thereby being highly profit-oriented, and said the mall is a move in the right direction.
Shopping mall will be of a very big and big benefit for the business moguls we have in Anambra here.
In Awka, it's been Kenechukwu Chukwudi for AB.
Anglican Bishop of Amichi Diocese in Anambra State, Right Reverend Ephraim Ikako, has decried Nigeria's growing insecurity, calling for prayers and external intervention. He, however, said security personnel must admit helplessness to enable her to seek assistance. Speaking to newsmen in Awka, the prelate said the ugly situation was worsened by infiltration of security apparatus and that the government is obviously helpless and army has been infiltrated and compromised, same with the police. On calls for America's President Donald Trump's intervention, Ikako said, God can use anybody. If God wants to use Trump, he can. But you know, nobody comes to help without his own interest. But that's inferior to the insecurity situation we find ourselves in. Nigeria currently looks like a jungle. Trump knows what he did in Syria and Iran. So if he comes, definitely an intelligence gathering will be superb. They know where these terrorists are and how to get them. So if America steps in, I think there will be a solution. Away now from state stories, the question of how much pressure the armed forces of Nigeria can sustain as insecurity mutates across regions is quietly echoing across the country. November's operational report of the armed forces of Nigeria at various operational theaters shows both progress and the weight still carried on the shoulders of Nigeria's troops. Princess Ekwi Ajide completes the story.
Giving the monthly report at the Defense Headquarters in Abuja, the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Michael Onoja, stood before the press with a message that mixed resolve with urgency. His words painted a picture of troops fighting on multiple fronts, from the forests of Zamfara to the riverways of Bayelsa, and slowly reclaiming spaces once dominated by terror. According to him, in Borno's Mafangala axis, a coordinated ground and air assaults scattered a Boko Haram cell that had long terrorized remote communities. Over 69 fighters and family members surrendered. 318 kidnapped victims were rescued, and oil theft worth 217.6 million naira was foiled.
The Armed Forces of Nigeria is dedicated to continuing to operate within the ambit of the law. We convey our assurances that we are enhancing our operational tempo in the light of the renewed security threats until peace is returned to all troubled areas of the country. The Armed Forces also wishes to inform all Nigerians that we are emplacing all necessary measures, systems, and activities humanly possible to ensure that the remaining students recently abducted are rescued and returned to their families unhurt.
In Abuja, Princess Ekwi Ajide reporting.
On the foreign scene, Russia continued its airstrikes on Ukraine overnight, hours after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he had a very constructive phone call with Donald Trump's negotiating team following 3 days of talks in Florida. President Zelensky said he was determined to continue working with the U.S. after speaking to Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, and the U.S. President's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, at the conclusion of those negotiations. Zelensky said they had discussed how to ensure that Russia stuck to any potential deal to end the war. Aerial assaults have continued even after even as efforts to negotiate an end to the war have intensified, including detailed Ukrainian-U.S. talks in Miami aimed at drafting a peace settlement acceptable to both sides. Hours later, Kremnechuk Mayor Vitaly Maletsky said his city had sustained a massive combined strike on its infrastructure. No deaths have been confirmed so far. The White House has pushed Kyiv and Moscow to agree to a multi-point plan to end the war, but there has been little sign of a breakthrough, despite both sides engaging with the U.S.-led process. The Russian strikes in the early hours of Sunday followed a wider attack 24 hours earlier, which drew condemnation from Kyiv's European allies. And for our sport today, the Nigeria Football Federation has issued a firm warning to referees and assistant referees nationwide, insisting it will impose severe sanctions on any match official whose conduct brings the sport into disrepute. In a memo released by the NFF Refereeing Development Committee and signed by Mohamed Aminu on behalf of the NFF President, with copies sent to the heads of all league bodies and the Federation's General Secretary, the organization expressed growing concern over fluctuating officiating standards across domestic competitions. The memo acknowledged that while many officials continue to uphold fairness and comply with the laws of the game, others have acted in ways that undermine both the integrity of refereeing and the wider reputation of Nigerian football. To strengthen oversight, the NFF president has set up a monitoring committee tasked with deploying personnel to match venues across the MPFL, NNL, and NWFL. These personnel will fire direct assessments on the performance and conduct of referees and their assistants, and with findings will guide disciplinary measures where required. The Federation urged all officials to carry out their duties with diligence, honesty, and neutrality, warning that there will be zero tolerance for any form of misconduct. And with that sport news, we conclude. Now, remember, you can listen to ABS from any part of the world by joining our website at www.absradiotv.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at ABS Radio Television. You can follow us on our social media handles at ABS Radio Television on Facebook, at ABS Radio TV, on Instagram and on X. And here are the main points of the news once again. Anambra Ministry of Lands has introduced major reforms to enhance transparency, public trust. Positive reactions have thrilled the soon-to-be-commissioned Awka shopping mall. Defense headquarters has reeled out major breakthroughs across theaters. And from the foreign scene, Ukrainian city has been hit by massive strike as peace talks in U.S. draw to conclusion. And security is here to stay in Anambra State. In the Anambra, remember, security is everyone's business, and for us to have a more secure and livable Anambra State, let us join forces with the government in securing our state. If you see something, say something. Report unscrupulous elements to the security operatives for better security of lives and property. Remember the emergency numbers 5111 and 0800-2200-008. And that's the news. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Nonya Nwokoye. Good morning and have a beautiful day.